Welcome to the San Diego Women's Fast Pitch. Super excited and blessed that we are all here today for the last of our women's fast pitches. Hi, I'm Dr. Sylvia Ma, and I am so excited to be here as your MC for today to highlight all the wonderful founders here today and also our wonderful judges. And I want to introduce, first and foremost, to Karen Duchesne, partner at Cooley. Cooley has been an incredible sponsor for the Women's Fast Pitch. We could not have done it without them. And they took the whole entire United States, all of the regions, and said, we want to support you at Stella Labs and all of the founders. So Karen represents Cooley from San Diego. Her practice encompasses a wide range of business and corporate matters. She represents primarily biotech and technology companies, one of my favorites, and investors in those industries. And she frequently teaches the San Diego office's Cooley U sessions, which I absolutely love. I send founders there, I send investors there, I grab stuff from Cooley U. It is an incredible resource. So thank you, Karen, for being here with us today.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. Cooley is proud to support the Women's Venture Summit and the Fast Pitch competition in particular this year. Congratulations to all of today's presenters. This is personally my second year being involved with the Women's Venture Summit, an event and a mission that is very important to me as well as to Cooley. For those of you who may not know Cooley, we're a global law firm. We've got just about 1,300 lawyers across the United States, Europe, and Asia. We're best known for representing innovators across all industries. We represent more than 40% of the Wall Street Journal's billion-dollar company list, as well as more than half of the companies on the NASDAQ Biotech Index. We're also the leading law firm in venture capital financing, and I'll share more information later in the program about some of the financing and deal terms that we are seeing as of late. We are deeply committed to diversity for both our employees and the women founders we support. We recently ranked in Fortune Best Workplace for Women, and for the 10th year in a row, we are named as a best law firm for women by Working Mother magazine parent company. We are involved with several platforms with the goal of placing women on boards too. We are so pleased to support the women founders participating here today. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Karen. And wanted to introduce now the San Diego Women's Fast Pitch. We are in our 6th year doing the Women's Fast Pitch, first only in San Diego per se, and then going across the nation the last 2 years because of being able to be virtual. This virtual competition, it was in 6 regions this year, over 6 weeks. So we are done. Our team is exhausted, but so inspired by all of the founders that we have been able to empower. This is our final stop, and we have some amazing founders here with us today. The winner of today advances to the Women's Venture Summit to win, if the winner wins, $10,000 investment and $30,000 in in-kind services. So wanted to introduce Stella Labs, which is the organization that actually leads the charge on the Women's Venture Summit and the Women's Fast Pitch. Stella Labs is a not-for-profit business accelerator, and we aim to increase representation and funding opportunities for female founders across the nation and globally. Please stay tuned until the very end to hear about 2 special announcements coming your way. Now on to the judges. We have judges that donate their time to say, yes, we would love to judge the Women's Fast Pitch because we believe in female founders. We believe, and some of us invest in female founders. So thank you so much, judges, for being part of today's Women's Fast Pitch. Cheryl Conti is our first judge. Cheryl is the Impact Seats Chief Innovation Officer and award-winning founder and chair of the mission-driven digital agency Do Big Things. What I love about Cheryl also is as the Impact Seats Chief Innovation Officer, the Impact Seat is one of our sponsors of the Women's Fast Pitch, and she was able to meet with some of the founders and do some pitch prep, not the founders that we're hearing today, but other founders. So thank you, Cheryl, for all of your wonderful time with us. Cheryl is also an Amazon bestselling author of Mechanical Bull, How You Can Achieve Startup Success. And she is also co-founder of Attentively, the first tech startup with a Black female founder to be acquired by a NASDAQ company. Thank you, Cheryl, for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Next is Carrie Fair. She is a sole proprietor of Stated, a marketing consultant firm partnering with small and business-sized brands. She is also a member of Women of STAC, which is the San Diego Angel Conference. And that is how I know Carrie. She's an aspiring angel investor, and it's so exciting to see her every single month showing up to our Women of STAC meetings, where we connect with other women, aspiring angel investors and existing angel investors, to create a community here in San Diego to support founders in the ecosystem. Carrie's inspired by two entrepreneurial parents, backed by an MBA and Fortune 20 experience. Carrie brings pep, strategy, and clarity to brands looking to amplify their marketing. Thank you, Carrie, for being part of today.
Thank you, Sylvia. I'm excited for us to be back in San Diego here.
I know, it's like back in our backyard. It's so nice. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Then comes Zander Leskowski. She's a startup consultant with over 25 years of entrepreneurial experience with large multinational tech companies, as well as startups, as founder, investor, advisor, and board member. She has founded OC Angel Investors, so that's OSEA Angel Investors, a woman-focused angel investment group based at the UC Irvine Cove. I have known Zandra for so many years. She is definitely a mentor to me in starting up angel groups, mobilizing women investors to invest in other women founders. And Zandra provides a startup consulting, assisting entrepreneurs in producing their startup roadmap. So thank you, Zandra, for being part of today. And lastly, we have Kristin Fox. She is an accredited business valuation specialist and director of business development for Vantage Point Advisors. She is also a member of Women of STAC San Diego Angel Conference. She has expertise in performing valuations of businesses and business interests for a variety of purposes, including financial reporting, transaction advisory, tax restructuring, corporate planning, matters of solvency and fairness, and gift and estate planning. But she doesn't do only that. Also, she's also a wonderful entrepreneur and a wonderful advocate for the San Diego ecosystem in general. So thank you, Kristin, for being part of today. You always give back. So the pitch process, how does it happen? In the next couple of minutes, you will be able to hear all of our wonderful female founders pitching today. And they have up to 3 minutes to pitch their company. They've been pitch prepped by investors, so thank you. And then after that 3-minute pitch, they go into 5 minutes of question and answer with 4 of the judges. And what we've done is that we said, hey, judges, which ones of these female founders would you like to ask questions of? So we really mindfully connect those judges to those entrepreneurs. So there's really great questions that happen in that Q&A period. Questions are known to be supportive, clarifying, or promotion focused. To neutralize bias in any room, you can always ask promotion focused questions instead of prevention focused questions to be able to, again, neutralize that bias and actually be answered with promotion focused answers, which makes for a better conversation. So that's what the Women's Fast Pitch is all about as well. The judging rubric, just for everybody to know, is the same as round 1. That was judged by a whole other set of judges. So thank you for them who have stepped up all along the way to help us in the round 1. And of course, today for our 6 finalists here in San Diego. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to the wonderful founders who are pitching today from San Diego. Thank you. Those are amazing founders. So excited to hear them all pitch. So up first, I want to make sure that we have the first pitching wonderful founder. Yes, we do. It is Annie Brown, the founder and CEO of Lips. And I can see you.
Hello.
Hello, I can hear you. You have the stage.
Okay, great. So hello, everybody. Very, very happy to be here. I will share my screen. Let's get that. All right.
Ready to go.
All right, great. Well, yes, my name is Annie. I am the founder of Lips. I've been working with Women's Venture Summit and Sylvia and Stella Labs for a while now, and they've really helped me get to where I am. So I'm very happy to be presenting. So Lips, we are a social media platform, but we're a little different. We do have a social mission. Our mission is to improve the mental health and financial well-being of women, non-binary, and the LGBTQ community and their fans. And I'll show you in a second why this is so important. We do have a WeFunder Live, so feel free to check that out. I'll send the link later in the presentation. So social media as it exists today is not the best place for the ladies and the LGBTQIA community. And a lot of these things, I'm sure folks in the audience have experienced themselves. It's been in the news lately with OnlyFans kicking off huge portions of the LGBTQ community from their platform due to bad moderation systems. There's also harassment and trolls, plagiarism, and of course, low self-esteem. It doesn't have to be this way. Lips is creating a patent pending inclusive moderation system. So this is something that actually can be licensed to or sold to large corporations like OnlyFans, like Instagram, like Facebook to actually make their social media better. So by creating this social media platform, we're actually creating a data set, ethical anonymous data that can be used to make the internet better as a whole. On top of that, we also have built-in protections against harassment. We're providing economic opportunity for these underserved creators. So many of the folks that are on Lips now can't advertise, can't sell, all because of biased algorithms. So this is the slide I'm most excited about. This is our lovely team. We've been growing this past year. I myself am a writer on AI and blockchain for Forbes. I've been through Y Combinator, and our CTO, Barbara Bickham, she's worked with Hyperloop. She's actually presented at the Women's Congressional Briefing on Women of Color in Blockchain. And we've got Raj, who is a local here in San Diego, who's actually built the Poshmark app. And our newly added team member, Patrick, who currently works as security and child protections at TikTok and worked with Google on their free speech. So he's helping to make Lips a free speech platform that's safe for our users and also safe from any sort of political attacks. So our traction, we launched the app, so it is live, it's lips.social. We launched January 1st of this year. We have 20,000 organic users. So that means we've done pretty much zero marketing. We've gotten some earned media, but we're growing the app so that we get it to a point where we can actually push for marketing and use our 6 million total reach of influencers. We've received a grant. We built that app with a grant from Headstream Accelerator, which is backed by the Melinda Gates Foundation. We do have patents filed. And most recently, we have $95,000 raised from Lips community investors. And so this was majority small investments from existing users. So we are often approached by journalists, researchers to talk about this issue because we know it so well because of our technology. And I love this quote because it shows that even in our first early stage form, Lips is already making an impact on her life. She says, this platform is making me feel so hopeful I can continue to share my art and promote my work so I can feed myself. And to see everyone on the Explore page is such a refreshing change from the bleep Instagram tries to feed us. And she says, it's allowing me to release so much of the shame Instagram has caused and is allowing me to continue connect with y'all and continue healing. So we get a lot of posts like this on Lips. They're not asked for, but it's lovely to see that it's working. And so why now? Well, it's the time to. If we don't do it, someone else will. But the fact is that Lips is actually first to market, and we're the ones creating the most advanced technology that can actually solve these problems. And there's a huge gap in the market. Over 73% of LGBTQ content online is flagged as inappropriate, which is just scary because the LGBTQ community actually has a $1 trillion global buying power, and 33% of Gen Z identifies as LGBTQ. So the fact is that social media platforms are going to have to evolve these proper algorithms, better UX, eliminate harassment if they're going to want to keep their users. Now, our business model, as we start out, we're not a social media app that has to get to 1 million users to start to make profit. We actually do have a SaaS tools and marketplace for our users. And then on top of that, we have an algorithmic model data sales. And we're already in talks with groups like Thorn, IBM, Google, who are really interested in our technology and what we're building. We've got big partners, like I said, a 6 million reach. We've got wonderful brand and research partners. We actually are going to be a part of a permanent exhibit at Museum of Sex coming up. And we are seeking 1 million in a pre-seed round. And this is recent news. We have VC co-leads currently in diligence with 1% of the round soft circled. So if you want to learn more, we do have our family and friends round still open. It's wefunder.com/lips. And I would love to have more women investors get involved in what we're building. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie, so much. And we are going to go on to the question and answer. You are going to be, their questions are coming from Cheryl and Zandra. Cheryl, do you want to go first?
Sure. Here we go. Can start my video. That was great, Annie, and congratulations on, building out a very impressive platform. So I did have a few questions. You mentioned the percentage soft circled,
right.
What is that percentage?
Yes. So this has actually been in development with the new OnlyFans news that came out. We were actually approached by a lot of VCs for the technology we're building because it could prevent something like the OnlyFans fiasco from happening. So this actually just developed this week. Right now, it's between 200 and 400,000 is what we're discussing, but nothing's set in stone yet.
Sure, but that's great. Congrats.
Yeah.
Have you, I'm curious, it sounds like your exit strategy is potentially having, a big social network, potentially buy this and integrate it. Have you been, looking at the APIs? Do you have your own API? Like how are you handling, the potential integration? Since I know that's something that bigger players often look at.
Right. So with Lips, it's really interesting because I think a big part besides our technology is also the community we're building. And so I think, if we were to do an exit to a social media platform, my guess is it would be something similar to the way Facebook did Instagram, where it's like Lips continues to exist as a platform, but the technology as a whole sort of belongs to a larger network. Because the fact is that the culture that Lips is creating is so unique that it's hard to just apply that to an existing social media. Now, that being said, the technology can be really easily integrated because essentially we're building an algorithmic model that adds data. So like, for example, Thorn, they have a hashing system for preventing sex trafficking. But the problem is that a lot of times it kicks off totally fine, lovely LGBTQ content. So we would then add to their hashing system with our data So, it could be a combination of them acquiring us for, that technology and letting us exist as our own, or, helping us grow Lips into something bigger that's more pervasive across social media networks.
Okay, cool. And last question, you've got a lot of blockchain experts, on board, and it sounds like, you are investing, a fair amount, in blockchain. How do you see blockchain enhancing Lips?
Yeah, that's a really exciting topic that's hard to get into in 3 minutes. But the quick answers are, one is our moderation system. So having the ability to elect moderators to their moderating panel. So basically having users be more participatory in the moderation system. And then another part is secure and independent payments. So then, if a Christian group attacks Visa, we're not necessarily tied to Visa, and then that shuts down our marketplace. So if an anti-LGBT group has some sort of influence, then we're independent of that. So those are two of the major uses. Another one is the ability, just more privacy for our users. So like if a person's doing LGBTQ art, but they're really scared about their parents finding out that they're gay, they feel more secure posting on Lips than other social networks. So those are some of the use cases.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Hi, I've got 3 questions. Great presentation. Definitely needed in the marketplace, and I understand the issues you're trying to conquer here. Number 1, what does your user acquisition cost look like in the first year?
Yeah, so the user acquisition costs are quite low. As of now, the user acquisition has been 0. It's all come from earned media and influencers coming to us. Now, we are going to, now that we've raised enough money to kind of build out some of the features, fix some of the glitchiness of just some bugs, we're going to start partnering with larger influencers and doing paid promotions. So we'll have more exact numbers on what that is, but most user acquisition costs are going to come from PR strategy and influencer, but we're not going to be doing a ton of ads. So we expect them in the first year to be quite low because Lips is both a product, but also a social movement. It's been able to acquire users really easily and get people excited without paying them.
That's great. That's good. We like to see low cost acquisition, yes. Especially in those beginning months. Yes. And then what is your plan to combat churn? Because there's so many social platforms and other places to go, but not this wonderful, but you're going to have some churn. So what's the strategy behind that?
Yeah, for sure. Well, we've been getting some advice on this, and the good news is that a lot of the stuff we're doing already is combating churn. So essentially really engaging with our community. So we have a head of community that essentially, likes all the posts, is going to comment on the posts, thankful for them being there, really one-on-one sort of interactions with people. Like we've been getting a lot of compliments in this past week, how fast we've responded to questions. So just really getting that customer service up, because that's another reason why they're coming to Lips, is because they don't feel heard, they don't feel seen on these other social platforms. So I think community engagement is one, and then also, doing things like workshops, educations, providing value outside of the platform itself. That's just a really kind of, low cost and fun way for us to engage with people and get people to be advocates for the platform.
Great. And how are we on time, Sylvia? Do I have time for one more?
Oh, one more, but it's a really short one with a short answer.
Okay. Very quick. Okay. So you're going to allow crypto to be for transactions. What is the security behind that?
Yes. So we're going to be doing a regulated crypto payment solution that has KYC. And so essentially it's very similar to what Bitwage is doing right now for payment for employees. So very secure, very regulated, it's becoming more mainstream. And so that's a good thing for us because we can use solutions that are already out there, at least in the interim.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Annie and the judges, Cheryl and Zandra, for starting off our San Diego Women's Fast Pitch. Very exciting. So as we get the next pitching founder up, we wanted to let everybody know that our judges are using a judging technology called Rocket Judge. It is a flexible judging platform that lets you make your competitions more exciting, dynamic, and stress-free. Simply add the judges, competitors, and rubric, and watch the scores roll in. Rocket Judge was involved last year in our Women's Fast Pitch, and we just had to get them back, and they're a wonderful sponsor. And thank you so much for being a sponsor, Rocket Judge, in all of this. And you can try a free demo at rocketjudge.com. Thank you, Rocket Judge. Now, next up, I'm pretty sure that's, yes, Sierra is on. Wonderful. So our pitch number 2 of San Diego is Sierra Simpson, CEO and founder of BrilliantBiome.
All right, let me share my screen. Thanks for that wonderful introduction, Sylvia.
And I hear you and I see your screen, and the stage is yours.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Sierra Simpson. I'm founder and CEO of BrilliantBiome. We're a microbiome-based precision medicine platform aimed to eliminate the risk of opioid abuse from the inside out. As many of you know, we're in the middle of an opioid crisis that results in over 150 overdose deaths per day. And this has increased 40% during COVID due to isolation and stress, with 15 million people still abusing opioids and up to an 80% relapse. This will cost our society and individuals over $500 billion in the next 5 years. But it's really challenging to actually predict who's going to increase their intake of opioids and become addicted. Genetic testing is a poor predictor of opioid use. Current therapies don't work well for our population. Hospital services have been impacted by COVID, and many current treatments are addictive themselves. And despite the fact that everyone's an individual and we're all unique, we're treating them the same in the clinic, which leads to our solution. We leverage microbiome data and our proprietary artificial intelligence pipeline to determine addiction risk and provide actionable information to reduce the likelihood of addiction and relapse in the clinical setting. Now, you might be thinking, how can the microbes that live in our gut contribute to our physical and our mental health? It's through the gut-brain axis. It's the bidirectional pathway between the gut and the brain. These microbes can secrete molecules that change how our brains respond to external stimuli. And while it only takes 23,000 genes to make a human, our microbiome has over 8 million unique genes. And while that's complicated, gut health can be easy. All you have to do is order a kit and collect your fecal sample at home, mail us back your sample, we'll sequence it and analyze it, and you'll get to know your gut. We break down your complex microbiome data and suggest new ways to improve your health. And we aim to attack opioid addiction in 2 ways by using this approach. We can pre-test before somebody is exposed to opioids to look at their microbiome and determine their risk, which can inform their downstream care and individualized treatment to stop opioid addiction before it starts. And we can post-test after someone's addicted to look at their microbiome and make microbiome suggestions to reduce their withdrawal symptoms and reduce their relapse potential. Our kits are $300. We can do one-time sampling and repeated sampling. We have a patent that's pending, filed earlier this year, and we have an exclusive license from UCSD to develop this opioid use diagnostic test, as well as make some of the small molecules that I discovered during my PhD into small molecule therapeutics. Now, the market size is quite substantial with a TAM of $87.5 billion. We plan to enter the market into high-end rehab facilities where the willingness to pay is quite high. We can leverage this real-world data for a diagnostic FDA process and target insurance reimbursement to make it available for everybody. It's a no-brainer for insurance companies because opioid users cost between 10 and 60 times more than non-users. So far, we've sold $54,000 in analytic sales to cover our fixed costs in 2021 and raised $30,000 in non-dilutive funding and $120,000 in in-kind services. We've assembled an amazing team to combat addiction with the scientific, operational, clinical, and translational expertise to make differences in lives. If you're interested in being a part of our future, we're looking for an $8 to $10 million investment to complete our FDA process and initiate our small molecule development program. We're BrilliantBiome. It's time to trust your gut. Thank you.
Fantastic, Sierra. Thank you so much. It's always nice to see updates of all of your wonderful things. So your question and answer will be led by Carrie and Kristin. So Carrie, would you like to go first?
Love to. Sierra, this is great. Having worked with probiotics as well too, like you know, the how it works all together. And you're so right about mental health too. So, and plus your slogan of "It's time to trust your gut" is great.
Thank you.
So I'm so curious though, because obviously noted in the slides of, the increase in opioid usage during COVID. How has it affected your business though? And have you guys had to change?
We really haven't had to change. I think if anything, interest has been boosted because mental health has been on everybody's mind. And our technology is actually broadly applicable, not just for opioid use disorder, but we're interested in things like anxiety and depression and treatment-resistant depression. We can apply it to a lot of things. The bigger the data set we have, the better the outcomes and the more people we can help.
Oh my goodness, great succinct answer. And actually was my second question to you was, in looking at this, single time I might purchase it or repeat purchases, which you have on there. Are you thinking though of this is kind of just the first product you put out there and doing these other testing kits? So I, obviously have a longer lifetime value for a customer, or can support them, say they are relapsing and maybe I test the gut, but maybe I test, lipid levels or something else too?
Oh, that's a great question. So yeah, while we're not only interested in microbiome, I have expertise in the metabolome. And so we've been looking at adding on metabolomic signaling and other outputs so that we can make our predictions better, as well as having other retail facing kits that are available for given indications like, heart disease or diabetes or other mental health disorders. And there's a lot of opportunity here to make a difference in people's lives. Our microbiome is not a static thing, it changes. So the customer lifetime is actually quite long. If somebody's exposed to antibiotics, we may need to look at your microbiome and reset it because those antibiotics wipe you out. So there's a lot of opportunity to follow our customers for their whole life for health in general.
Oh, that's fabulous. Yeah. I mean, if you could put the science behind, so much of what's out there in the market, right? And I would know what level I need to dose myself at versus kind of taking the standard. I think it's fabulous. So that's all the questions for me, but love it.
Thanks, Carrie.
Great presentation, Sierra. Thank you so much. It's a really innovative solution around a real serious problem. So I just wanted to understand more about the IP protection and what drives the value here. Is it truly the small molecule, or is it the artificial intelligence, or the combination of the two?
That's a really good question. Yeah, so a lot of our secret sauce is in the AI platform that we developed using natural language processing to build out the best predictive model that we possibly could. But our patent also covers the use of microbiome as a diagnostic for opioid use disorder, as well as the small molecules that we could potentially develop as a therapeutic. And as I mentioned in my slide, right now, current technology isn't great. People relapse up to 80%. And most of those therapeutics are also addictive. Some of the molecules that we discovered that are covered by our patent aren't addictive. They could potentially be taken during detoxification to lessen some of those symptoms. And there's a lot of potential for further development.
Great. And then I noticed that you're going to target high-end rehab facilities. What type of traction do you have there, and kind of what's your path from there?
Thanks for that question. We've spoken with over, I think, 25 rehab facilities in the area. Many are interested in offering it as a service. We built it into our marketing budget also to offer some of those kits at a discounted price so that they can try it out and see how it works within their model and inform feedback so that we can make our solution even better to fit their needs as we go forward.
Great. And what does the landscape look like in terms of competitors that have a similar type of platform for testing?
Yeah, there are a few competitors out there. Most of them are using a different kind of sequencing than we're using. They're using either 16S or RNA sequencing. We're using metagenomic sequencing, which actually allows us to get even more information about the specific bacterial species that are within the microbiome. So we're getting an even more precise picture than most of our competitors. And we're really focusing on integrating that into our algorithm so that our prediction rates are better than all the other available on the market. And we're the only ones focusing on opioid use disorders and central nervous system. We're also the only ones that have the IP to develop microbial metabolites for opioid use disorder through the patent that we filed.
Great. That's all I have, Sylvia.
Wonderful. Great question answers. I love it. Very like specific, but like you answered them so generalized that I could even understand it. So thank you so much. Carrie, do you have any other questions or you're good?
No, I actually, well, I guess one little one on following on that about the credibility here. I think it's the obvious to a, end user, and then just kind of, what is it that you need next? Is it more, studies? Is it, what will get you in the door to kind of prove to UCSD and others that this is a big next thing?
Yeah, so we're actually already partnering with UCSD, and we started our clinical trial this last week. Which is super, really exciting. And so we're using that as a proof of concept to test our algorithm that was developed during my PhD in preclinical models. And so that, along with some of the alpha testing that we've been doing with people, we can demonstrate our efficacy of our model and then approach the FDA for a pre-IND meeting to go through our process early next year.
Great. Well, congrats with the start of the trial.
Thank you.
It's always exciting. So thank you so much, Sherry. You did fantastic. You did brilliantly. So wonderful. Thank you so much. So as we get our next founder ready to go, I'd like to shout out the Women's Venture Summit and Women's Fast Pitch sponsors. We actually have 2 in the house today, so it's really nice. Cooley, obviously you're going to hear from her, Karen, a little bit later, and the Impact Seat. And lastly is Next Wave Impact Foundation. So very exciting to have these sponsored that come alongside us as an organization and then sponsor it so that these founders have the opportunity to pitch in front of you as an audience and pitch in front of investors. And I'm seeing the chat. Actually, interestingly enough, we had one of the people in the chat say that they already went on WeFunder and invested in a founder today. So very exciting. I love that, quick outcomes. So very excited about that. So Pree, you are up next. So I'm so glad that you're here. So our next pitching founder is Pree Walia, and she is the CEO and founder of Primadonna.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Sylvia. I'm Pree Walia. I'm the founder and CEO of Primadonna. And at Primadonna, we believe that creativity is a basic human need, but it's also a huge $135 billion lucrative market that spans beauty, body, and even arts and crafts. Yet the creative expression products targeted especially towards young women are fairly analog and static. Yet today's Gen Zers are curious digital DIYers that expect shareable, tech-enabled experiences. They're more creative than previous generations, and they show it on their body and on their hands. In fact, 40% of young people have had some form of body or nail art. And so at Primadonna, we are pioneering the connected creativity category in much the same way that Peloton's done for connected fitness. And what I mean by that is that we're building at-home smart hardware that's affordable and convenient, that's multi-generational and age agnostic. And our goal is to really connect artists, brands, and influencers with this engaged community of young women. And we're starting with our first category, connected beauty, specifically nails, and then extending into body with tattoo and henna. And the magic is that this smart hardware is really powered by our maker suite of digital art tools. And our first category, connected beauty, specifically nails, is a $15 billion global nail care market. And oftentimes with such a large market, it's hard to figure out where to start. And so we're starting with the demographic that will love us the most, our preteen and teen Primadonnas. So for girls between the ages of 8 to 18, 92% of them decorate their nails at least twice a month, and 14% decorate their nails at least once a day. Nail cosmetics is the most popular form of cosmetics amongst girls ages 8 to 18, and we're really trying to tap into that existing behavior. So we built Nailbot. Nailbot prints custom instant digital manis in about 5 seconds. So this is how a Nailbot works. First, you prep your nail. We recommend a light colored kind of coat to make the art pop. Now you personalize, choose whatever you want to print. You can design your own art within our mobile app. You can choose from one of our pre-existing galleries. The only limit to your imagination is really the canvas of your nail. And then you tap print from your mobile phone. In about 5 seconds, that image appears directly on your nail. So we're starting with nail art as really that first gateway. We leverage the phone in very creative ways to bring the price point down for the nail bot. So we use the back-facing camera of the smartphone to basically size your fingernail, and we print wirelessly over Bluetooth. The NailBot kit is priced at $199. That includes the cartridge, the consumables, the whole shebang, and it's really meant to be automated to encourage unlimited creativity. We've really built a full stack hardware and software solution that's really an embodiment of intelligent automation. We do have 8 utility patents that have been issued on our NailBot printing systems and our roadmap. We view NailBot as really a gateway for body bots and printing applications that we're building. The magic is that we can actually, a user can try on art even before they print. So we use augmented reality features in a very fun, creative way. And because we know the usage of the NailBot real time, we actually can really customize and personalize content, both for brands and artists that have art within the app, and then also for users. It's also a great vehicle for voice activation. NailBot wins on affordability, convenience, and speed. The NailBot cartridge will last for quite a bit. You're looking at between 2,000 and 2,500 prints we print in one pass. And so when you look at that system, you're looking at about 80 cents a mani. The magic is that the NailBot should be in your house, which is the best place for it to be. It's where you're doing things really on, at home. Hardware is really our moat for diversified mass market revenue streams. So that NailBot starter kit at $199, it is a good price point for a gift and very comparable to lower end gaming systems in the market if you're looking at kind of that young women segment. And we have replacement consumables like razor blade consumables, polishes, primers, accessory kits. And the magic, as I've mentioned a couple of times, is really the phone as the controller. And so within our mobile app, users, if they want to access premium content, they'd upgrade to a mobile premium subscription. And then brands, artists, and influencers either have a rev share or flat fee agreement for us. While we decorate your nail, we have a good 5 to 8 seconds to entertain you with premium content. So we've got a lot of interactive entertainment features we can introduce as we scale. And this is NailBot. You can see a couple of things behind me as well. We're the right team to bring NailBot to market. So my background is in connected hardware. I worked in LED lighting and building automation before starting Primadonna in Silicon Valley. I have my MBA from University of Chicago, but I started my career out actually as a political organizer, really building community from ground up, both online and offline. And I think a lot of our kind of grassroots go-to-market strategy, which I'll share, kind of stems from those experiences. I'm joined and complemented by Marcy Allstat. Marcy led a division of HP and LaserJet printing. She's really been handling our supply chain operations and manufacturing. We have raised a seed round led by Halogen Ventures with participation from the Amazon Alexa Fund, version 1, and then founders of other product categories like the Roomba, Guitar Hero, and Spanx have invested in Preemadonna. I'm going to wrap it up, but this is where we are. We are in production and R&D is complete. So this product is tooled and we are here in the San Diego area because of that. We've got a 50,000 person organic wait list and released a successful beta program. So we've got bots in the wild. We're very excited about it. Can share more about the results there. And our big go-to-market strategy is definitely direct to consumer to engage that existing wait list and convert them in the fall. And then very heavy as we ramp next year onto Amazon. This is a viral, really demonstrable, fun product, prints in 5 seconds. And so we are engaging micro influencers across TikTok and Instagram in clever ways for kind of our public deployment. Happy to answer any questions. No matter what, sign up on our wait list, get a NailBot for someone in your life. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Wonderful job. Love the NailBot. And going on to the question and answer, you are going to be led by Cheryl and Zandra.
Well, I'll go first. And I promise to give you more time, Zandra. I signed up to be a question answer because I want one of these, Pree. Like, I'm obsessed with my nails. So I think you're gonna, this is likely to be a very successful product. What's your timeline for the tattoo bot?
Yeah, we have a really strong foundation in understanding hardware, software, consumables. And so we can really leverage a lot of the existing architecture from this generation Nailbot for temporary stickers and tattoo to kind of evolve into that. So I would say, we've got something in the works. For some of our investors, they'll see something next year that we're showing around and testing with our market. I'd say in the next year and a half, it's very likely that you'll see kind of that evolution from Nailbot into TattooBot.
Very cool. And then what about the ink? Like, is that something you'll be charging for? Is it non-toxic?
Yeah, great question on the consumable. So we have created and partnered with a firm to create a non-toxic ink. It's a cosmetic grade ink. We control what we call the ink density and ICC profiles within our mobile experience. We fill it in Europe and it's manufactured there, and then we import it here. And we spent quite a bit of time formulating it. The polishes we fill in the United States, they're formulated in the United States, and they are 7 free. And so we do include the MSDS sheets as well when we will ship.
Okay, but you'll be charging for,
Right, so in terms of the starter kit comes with the polishes and the cartridge. And then in terms of replacement cartridges, because we actually know the print usage, we can push out a replacement cartridge, which you would pay for. So absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And then finally, competitors. Who do you see as your competitors?
Yeah, absolutely. The nail category is really on an uptick right now. So in some ways, competitors are actually really feeding the category itself. But I'd say stickers, in terms of nail stickers that maybe aren't as personalized or you print on demand, are definitely competitors. The irony is we actually can print on a sticker. So even if a user gets a sticker, they can still kind of customize that sticker, whether it's a plain sticker with our system. And I think we cleverly kind of feed the bot as like a creativity tool for it. And then I would say, the nail automation is very hot right now. We've seen a lot of kind of experiences or static products trying to enter the salon space. We believe the at-home space is the magic space, especially for a younger demographic that will really engage with the product. So I see some of those as our competitors. I think they are feeding the overall category. Nailbot is our trademark word. It's a clever word. And so when folks think of a nail printer or a nail robot, you tend to think of Nailbot, which I think really helps our, it will help our product category.
Yeah, Zandra. Thank you.
Okay, great presentation, Pree. I'm familiar with this deal from Jessie Draper. I know a year ago, you've made some progress, which is great. It sounds like you've met those metrics from a year ago. So question, where will the units be manufactured, and do you foresee any part constraints?
Yeah, Zandra, this is a great question, especially with the pandemic and so many startups and larger companies seeing supply chain challenges with components. So in terms of manufacturing, we actually are manufacturing, we're heads down in production right now, this next batch of bots here in the San Diego area, which is why we relocated the company. So those are coming off the line. And then we actually will move manufacturing to Thailand for high volume. It was always our strategy to do that. It's very beneficial for us to be so close to our USA manufacturing facility for really QA assurance. It's the same CM, they just have different facilities in the US and in Asia. And in terms of supply chain shortages, we have taken a very strong look at that BOM. And for some of the components where we have some long lead times, we have double sourced. We've had enough time to really sort through some of those challenges. What I would say is everyone in the world is facing a chip shortage. Primadonna is not, immune to that challenge. That said, we only have one board on the Nailbot, so we very cleverly do things. And we're just not in the millions yet to where that would really impact us. So we're on track with our supply chain. Marcy on our team has been very vigilant and diligent on this for us, and we're on track. If you'd asked me this 9 months ago, my heart would have palpitated a little bit more in that question, but we're in good shape.
A girl that comes from manufacturing, completely understand that. So, and then second question, you have 50,000 pre-orders, which is pretty incredible. That's way more than a year ago. And how are you reaching that audience, and have they made any deposits for those pre-orders?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So we have 50,000 people organically in our email wait list. And one of our big pushes is to actually convert for full payment in about 7 to 8 weeks. And so timing, as is everything for our company. So we really are trying to time this next batch of Nailbots going out with that influencer push with conversion. And so we're actually only going to be converting 5,000 in the next drop, and to really cleverly release spots in a drop fashion to meet production and manufacturing capacity. We have this ability to clearly, as you can see, to go viral. We want to match that ability to go viral with when we have product that's able to ship. And so we think we can do some very clever things with batches to really target that engaged audience and make sure the folks that convert are really going to be the right ambassadors for us. So you'll see that move in the next 7 to 8 weeks.
Great, great. Well, congratulations. Great to see you.
Thank you, Zandra. And thank you, Cheryl. And I want you both to get a nail bot so we can.
Wonderful. I love that. And no other questions, Cheryl and Zandra?
Yeah, when can I get my nail bot? I actually use stickers, so I'm like right in the crosshairs of your target.
There you go.
Yeah, yes, you are. Yes. So Cheryl, let's message each other afterwards, and definitely on LinkedIn. I'm in San Diego too, so we can meet up, and I can get you. Maybe you can be one of our testers.
Yes. Wonderful. I love that. It's like done and done. Who
Thanks.
says that women are only relational? We're transactional people too. So very exciting, very exciting. So as we bring our next founder up, want to remind the audience, thank you so much for chatting it up on the chat on YouTube. While you're there on YouTube, make sure you like us, subscribe to our channel, like us on all of our social media. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, all over the place. On Instagram, it's WeAreWVS. And primarily on LinkedIn, we are doing all of our marketing and all that through Stella Labs. So join the conversation, ask us questions. We're always looking at our DMs, and we're here to be of service to the founders and the investors out there. So without further ado, let's see if we have our next, oh, yes, we do. The next pitching founder is Taylor Fields. She is the CEO and founder of Nostalgia Coffee Roasters.
Hello, Sylvia. Awesome. Let me share my screen. I hope everyone's had a great cup of coffee today. Let's hop into this. All right, I'll take it away. Hello, everyone. I'm Taylor Fields. I'm the founder of Nostalgia. We're one of the most innovative coffee companies in the world today. But before I tell you about the innovation, I want to give you a brief background on myself as well as the business. So Nostalgia is a gay woman-owned coffee company that started back in 2018 out of this mobile cafe you can see in the top right-hand corner. We moved into retail roasting, and as of today, we have 4 of the highest rated single origin coffees in the entire world and the highest rated dark roast in California, which was announced last week, which we're pumped on. But there's still one big issue facing the coffee consumer today. What is it? Well, let's look at Tim over here on the left-hand side. Tim is a young, busy professional. He loves an exceptional cup of coffee. In fact, he thrives on an exceptional cup of coffee. He lives for it. But he doesn't have time in the morning to mess around with all the equipment. He doesn't have time to clean. He can't stand cleaning. He just wants a great cup of coffee, but he can't get it. So he oftentimes is selling for the suboptimal coffee experience. Maybe that's instant coffee or office coffee, or dare I say it, Starbucks coffee. Now let's look at Mark. Mark has the same job as Tim, but Mark looks so much calm, cooler, and collected. Why is that? That's because he knows that he can have an exceptional tasting cup of coffee anywhere, anytime, on the go, and he's carrying it in his pocket. But how? What is that in the top right-hand corner? Is that a tea bag? It's not. In fact, it is our coffee in a brew bag. So to the consumer, it's really simple. All they need is a mug, hot water, and a compostable brew bag, and they've got a delicious tasting cup of coffee. But the innovation and the science behind this is not simple. In fact, Folgers tried this in the 1980s, and there's one competitor in the US trying it today for the last 5 years. But chances are you've never even seen a product like this, heard of a brew bag, seen a brew bag, tasted a brew bag, and why is that? Why isn't this the primary way of drinking? That's because up until now, it's tasted terrible. It's just not been good coffee. So how did we change that? What are the trade secrets we found? So along with our team, which includes a PhD in mechanical engineering, a coffee certified Q grader, one of the most talented head roasters in the country, and myself, we found the ideal varietal, origin, processing method, blend ratio, roast profile, micron particle size distribution, the perfect amount of off-gassing time, all leading to this thing called an extraction yield, which basically says at the end of the day, when you brew a cup of coffee with our brew bag, you're getting the equivalent taste of a $5, $6 pour from the finest cafe in the country or the world. Best part of this is cost. At 45 cents per unit, we're looking at gross profit of nearly 80%. We're focusing on direct to consumer, but retail, office, hotel, and travel is a no-brainer for a product like this. So what are we doing right now? We're currently raising $500,000 as a convertible note. We've already raised $250,000 between WeFunder and direct investments. We've been featured on a lot of TV shows, including Daily Coffee News, and we've actually partnered with Ad Astra Ventures and the University of San Diego. But what are we going to be doing with this money? Great question. We are going to first and foremost increase our production capacity. We're going to focus on building out that direct-to-consumer infrastructure and tightening it up. That means web development, packaging and logistics, online user experience, brand positioning, and continue working with our current PR partner, Chic Execs. We're also going to continue R&D on this. So at the end of the day, why invest in nostalgia? Why go with us? We are consumer obsessed. We have the most innovative team in coffee. We have unmatched quality, and we're fundamentally changing how people brew, buy, and experience coffee. I would love for you guys to join us, and please let me know if you have any questions. Cheers.
Trying to get off of mute. I'm like, come on. Well done, Taylor.
Get you some more coffee.
I know, I need it.
I'm pretty wired.
Thank you so much for your pitch. Your question and answer will be led by Carrie and Cheryl.
Awesome.
Carrie, do you want to go first?
Sure, I'll ask a question. Taylor, great presentation. I think you made us all wish we had a nice cup in front of us here. So
yes.
Great work and nice branding overall too. I love it. So you led with, talking about how folks perceive, coffee in a bag, just they've had a poor experience. They've kind of been conditioned on that. And, some of the recent studies or even old HBR articles kind of talk about like, it's really hard for people to move forward, right? They get stuck in the past. They're more willing to do that. So there's even some remarks about being like 9 times better than the competition. So how you've got all these great benefits, how are you going to prove it to folks?
Yeah, so it's going to be, that's a great question. So it's going to be a combination of leveraging our coffee experience, our coffee reputation in the industry. We're already known as one of the top micro roasters in the entire United States. So we've got Coffee Review, which is like the wine review, but for coffee, and people take it seriously around the world. So when we're getting these 94 scoring point coffees, which we've had 4 of now, that means they're 4 of the top rated coffees in the whole world. So we're going to leverage that to start the conversation and get our way into this. So when people do buy a brew bag, the most important part is on our actual brew bag, it shows 92 points. So the coffee that we put in here is Memory Lane. I mentioned we just got the highest rated dark roast in California. That's also 92 points. When you're walking down the aisle or you see something with 92 points on it, you're going to say to yourself, oh, wow, like that's a great tasting cup of coffee or a great wine because someone else has tasted it. So we're going to leverage that as well as our branding and our messaging to bring all of that together to get people to change. Yeah.
Fabulous. No, it sounds like a good force. And do you ever see yourselves of trying to position, say, in San Diego with Verve or Lofty or Zoom Bar being big? Do you ever see partnerships with them to get into more of the retail space, or, you want to stand apart there entirely?
Absolutely. So when I mentioned the competition, what they do is they actually don't even roast their coffee. So they actually would go to a Lofty or a Bird Rock Coffee or any of these coffee shops in San Diego you're familiar with, and they would just send them coffee, and they'll send them back basically coffee and tea bags that are co-branded. There's no science being put in it, no innovation being put into it. It's a one-size-fits-all approach. So we stand apart in the fact that we're controlling the whole process, and we've had the ability to spend 8 months refining our coffee, all those trade secrets just for the brew bag. So it'll be us standing alone and taking over the whole coffee empire, hopefully.
Cheers to you. That's great. Over to you, Cheryl here.
Oh, thanks, Carrie. So how long does it take to brew a cup?
Yeah, so, we've got directions, but basically if you boil water, if you have hot water, you can get it from any hot water tower. You put the brew bag into your mug, you can let it sit in there for about 4 minutes. If you want to brew it quicker, you can just start dunking the coffee, and the quicker and the more you dunk it, the quicker you're going to get a brewed cup of coffee. The cool part is it's like you're still brewing your own coffee, but it's really simple and it's a no-brainer. So if you want it really strong, you can just keep dunking it. You could leave it in there the whole time, or you can take it out when it reaches your ideal, taste profile. So about 4 minutes, but realistically for water to cool down to a temperature for like most people to drink at, typically water from around 200 degrees to 140 degrees takes about 6-7 minutes. So that's probably around the time when you could actually start drinking, unless you have a really high tolerance for heat, but that's typically what we see.
Okay. And, you mentioned a whole lot of places where, it might be applicable. And, a friend of mine is an astronaut, believe it or not, Katie, and she actually they take VIA, like the VIA packets. That's what they drink in space. So there's definitely there's definitely a market, for this, including on the international
So
stage.
our PhD on our team, she worked for Blue Origin originally as like a rocket scientist. And we were talking the other day actually about like, what are astronauts drinking? And this would be a great way to do it. And it makes an excellent cold brew too. They could just leave it in water overnight. I'm not sure how gravity
I don't know
affects
how that would
all
work exactly. But you mentioned a whole bunch of
coffee, but we could look into that.
Yeah, sorry, there's lag on my end. You mentioned a whole bunch of places, businesses that might pick this up. Is there a place that you're focused? Starbucks is selling their VIA, of course, out of their stores, but also I think in Target. Like, what is your B2B strategy, in terms of focus?
Yeah, so we've made a strategic decision to really focus on direct to consumer out of the gate and put a lot of our resources in that. But I will tell you that there's a huge potential in 2 different areas. Office coffee. We had our first production run of these about 2 months ago, and our first entire production run sold within 2 hours to one of our big corporate clients here in San Diego. And so that kind of showed the power of corporate office coffee and the potential there. We also have a great relationship with REI, the outdoor store. This is kind of like a no-brainer for them. And we've actually had our mobile cafe with them for a couple of years. So that is certainly a retail outlet that we would love to be involved with. And we already have conversations going. But really our main focus right now is direct to consumer and really focusing in on that.
Okay. Do I have time for one more question?
Yes, you do. Go ahead.
Great. So, it sounds like, this is, it flies off the shelf. People are into it. What does your traction look like?
Yeah, so as a company, we've been around for about 3 years, mobile cafe. In terms of the brew bag, we've really been innovating for about 9 months now on it. We had our first actual production run that was 2 months ago, sold all of our inventory, immediately jumped back in. We just had our second production run. And now we're going to take a little bit of time and put this out direct to consumer where we haven't been able to do that yet. So now we're going to be focusing on that. We're going to be selling it at our mobile cafe, which sees upwards of 1,000 people a week. So we'll have that out there. And yeah, that's going to be our first real traction that we're excited about. But the office coffee was great.
Yeah. In terms of D2C, last question, what's your marketing strategy in brief?
Yeah, in short, we're gonna be working with some really cool marketing agencies and taking a little book of some fun where it's more interesting for people to get involved. They know we have quality. We could talk all day about our ethics, which I would love to right now. But we're gonna have a little bit of fun on social media, on Facebook, on direct advertising, and targeting our target audience, which is in that 20 to 30-year-old professional range.
Thanks.
You got it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Wonderful job. Thank you for the questions, and the answers were awesome. As we're getting the next founder up, wanted to remind people in the audience that Women's Venture Summit is just literally right around the corner. We would love for everybody who's watching today live, and also the ones that are watching on YouTube later on. Yes, we know that you will. Women's Venture Summit is coming up September 17th and 18th. And we have right before that an investor boot camp. So the investors in the room, just raise your hand. Nobody's watching. You can raise your hand. And if you're interested, please let us know in the chat below. We also have it all over all of our social media, but we do have our investor boot camp. It's also on our Eventbrite. It is led by our sister organization at Astra Ventures, which I'm a partner in. We talk about neutralizing bias. We get you as investors ready to write your first check. Really get to know actually some founders. You get pitched by founders, and you get to ask these really great questions, but sometimes even more questions. And then we train you of how to ask better questions. So it's a fantastic boot camp. It's only 2 days. We would love to see you there. So without further ado, we have our last pitch of the evening, afternoon. So I want to make sure that Tara is ready. Wonderful. So Tara Falcone is the CEO and founder of ReisUP. You have the floor.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And great job to everybody who has gone before. My name is Tara Falcone. I am back in high school. Sorry. I was not using the $2.65 an hour that I earned as a waitress to buy the latest meme stock. I was barely able to afford my basic needs. That all changed when I got a job on Wall Street and learned how to harness the power of investing to afford things that I wanted. That included major financial goals like helping my now husband invest his money to buy the engagement ring of my dreams. Today, millions of everyday people now have unprecedented access to investing and the opportunity to harness its power for their needs and wants too. But due to lack of education and misaligned incentives, retail investing has become an unbundled, chaotic casino. Investors now have 3 accounts on average and no way to connect the dots between the investments that they're buying and the financial goals that they're investing for. Retail investors do not need another brokerage app to choose from. Rather, they need a control center for their investments that puts their investing goals first and guides them to make more organized and intentional investment choices to achieve each of them. We are ReisUP, and we are building an app to help DIY investors do just that, using the same goals-focused method that my husband used to invest for my engagement ring. The first thing we ask you to do is tell us your reasons for investing, which are what we call goals. Then you can connect your existing investment accounts like Robinhood, actually assign securities that you own to each specific reason, and then project your potential success. And it's really these last 2 pieces, separate investing buckets for each goal, combined with more granular projection functionality that are unique to ReisUP and we believe will be category defining. Retail investing is bigger than ever and here to stay. We are targeting DIY investors aged 20 to 44 in the US to start, but expect to grow our addressable market by inspiring others who have not started to invest yet to do so. We'll capture our customers by partnering with some of my well-known Finfluencer colleagues, tapping into affinity groups like the military, and leveraging earned media at major financial outlets where I have established relationships. And we'll charge $5 a month to start with a free tier as well. Our team brings experience from high growth startups like Stash and Daily Harvest, and my background as a Main Street born, Wall Street bred finance expert gives us a fresh perspective and edge on the industry. With feedback from hundreds of retail investors, we have designed and started to develop our MVP, which will launch in closed beta this fall. We're also already generating over $100,000 in annual revenue from an existing related product that will serve as an internal marketing engine for this app. Oh, jumped ahead really quick, 1 second. There we go. We are currently bootstrapping our MVP and plan to raise a $2 million seed round toward the end of this year in order to capture our first 20,000 customers. I've soft circled about 250,000 of that already. In the meantime, we would love to connect with potential advisors with experience in fintech or consumer marketing, talented engineers, including technical co-founder candidates, as well as values-aligned investors ahead of our seed round. We know that this new generation of DIY investors are not investing to quote unquote beat the market. They're investing for a reason, and we're going to help them rise up and achieve those goals. If you'd like to be one of them, please sign up for our waitlist now. Thank you.
Wonderful job. Thank you so much. I love fintech. And your question and answer will be led by Zandra and Kristin. Zandra, would you like to go first? Or Kristin?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you. Great presentation. I totally get this. I mentor people on finances, so apps are definitely the way to start. So I want to just kind of get into the research part of it. So when you did your research, how were you finding that this was a missing link in, from investment to goals?
Great question. So I left Wall Street about 7 years ago now. I became a certified financial planner in the meantime. And then during COVID last year, when we saw the market drop and then saw a lot of new people, new entrants into the market, into retail investing, I just started talking to a lot of my friends and then looking into Facebook groups that were kind of popping up with these new investors sharing ideas, talking about, what they were buying and why. And so I started doing a little digging. I was like, okay, well, let me put my financial planner hat on. Why are you investing? Like, what got you doing this now that you didn't prompt you to do so before? And there were a lot of answers. Oh, it seems like the market opportunity of our generation and a whole bunch of other things. But then a lot of women especially started saying, I'm investing because I want to buy a Peloton bike, and I feel guilty about paying such a high price. I want to pay for part of it with gains in the market. So I'm investing some of my money to kind of, make it work for me. Or others were saying, I want to pay for a nanny part-time but I don't have the actual, current income to do so. So I want to make some of that through dividend income, for example. And others still were like, I want to pay off my car. I want to, buy a beach house and I need a bigger down payment. There were a whole host of things that were incredibly tangible that they were investing for. So then I asked them some follow-up questions. I was like, okay, well, how are those goals directing the investments that you're buying? Because from a financial planning perspective, wanting to buy a Peloton in 6 months looks very different than wanting to buy a beach house 3 years from now. And the answer across the board was, I have no idea. I'm just following this person on Twitter or this Reddit board. And, I've owned fractional shares in 70 companies and I hope something's going to work. So then I asked them one other follow-up question. I was like, well, how are you tracking any of this? And most of them said, I'm not, or I just look at my, Robinhood account every day. And a couple were saying, I use a spreadsheet. And it actually reminded me of the time 8 years ago when I helped my husband invest for my ring fund. And I was like, I actually did this, the very basic version of this in an Excel spreadsheet 8 years ago. Why can't I bring this to the masses via technology? And so that's really how this idea came to be. It's the right time in the market to do so. And I'm excited to get back to my investing roots now.
No, I think there's a place for this type of app. And the other side of it, you will, once this gets launched, you will be garnering a lot of data on consumer use. Are you going to do anything with that data, that consumer usage and what they're saving for?
Yeah, and I'd love to share a slide with you, kind of what our bigger vision is for this, because I think there are a lot of ways that this can go. One, if you look at the middle part, shared reasons, so being able to share reasons with maybe a partner or friends for a bachelorette party or something like that. But actually like perks and discounts. So say somebody's investing for a Peloton, we can kind of encourage them as they make certain milestones of progress with maybe a discount on their monthly subscription for the interactive part of their Peloton, or maybe a discount on the Peloton itself. Or we can, provide them, if they're saving for a down payment on a house, maybe a rate discount at Rocket Mortgage or something like that, to inspire people to not only continue to invest for these things, but then also incentivize them for putting their money to work in a responsible way versus gambling it away, which a lot of retail investors are doing right now.
Great. And then just last question, walk me through the revenue model, because there's freemium, and then of course, hopefully they get hooked and they go onto the subscription side of it. So just kind of walk me through what that looks like. Do you have an idea of what conversion rates look like?
So we are planning to offer a freemium version, and I'll stop sharing screen really quickly. Oops, yep. I'll go here. And basically the idea is, okay, asking ourselves, what is the value that we bring and that we would charge for? And it's really the ability to connect your existing investment accounts, which most people have multiple, but then also to have multiple reasons, because most people are investing for more than just one goal. So our freemium version will be the ability to create one reason, so one goal, and then you would have to manually enter any securities that you own. And so that is, you can still play around with our functionality. You can still get the benefit of being able to project your potential success, but you're not able to actually connect your accounts and have those update in real time. And then the conversion, we think that will be enough to get people interested and show them the power of this platform that will then convert them at a very low price point of just $5 a month to start. We also have additional plans to have a premium tier as well, which will include things like more customized filtering of the investing universe. So one of the biggest another issue that people have is just overwhelm of not knowing where to start or what investments are right for them. So being able to provide maybe more tailored financial information that whittles the investing universe down to say 5 to 10 things that fit that specific goal profile that they might want to look at first. And that would be a premium tier offering as well. So right now we're just planning to start with the free and $5 a month version, but we have big plans for increasing our proprietary technology and being able to upsell for that.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to pivot over to Cheryl.
Great questions. Thank you.
Great presentation. Thank you so much. I love the goal-based investing platform for a reason. So can you walk me through the evolution of the second product that you mentioned within the presentation on slide 12? Where is the technology now, and what is the plan in the near term for development, and who are you working with for that?
Yes, and slide 12, let me just pop that up here, is the traction slide. Is that what you're referring to? Oh, sorry. Is this what you're on mute, Kristin? Sorry. Oh, there you go.
Sorry, if you could just, walk me through the development plan a little bit in a little bit more detail.
Yeah, thanks for that question. So I just came up with this idea earlier this year. We've spent a lot of time kind of speaking to different potential users as well as investors about the best way forward. This idea has been refined over the kind of first half of this year to what it is now. And now that we have a very clear path forward with functionality and features that we're going to offer, we just worked on UI and UX this over the past 3 weeks. And so we've got a pretty good onboarding flow and wireframes in place. And then we'll be working with our lead engineer, who I've worked with actually on our first product, to kind of build out the cloud architecture and structure of this, and then hiring a back and front end engineer as well to help build the MVP of this too.
Great. So you've gained some traction. Tell me about your existing customers and then how you're planning to target new customers.
Yeah, so on our existing product, which I'll touch on in just briefly. So over the last 3 years, we have been selling a product called LIT, which is a virtual financial literacy program that I built and bootstrapped myself. It's essentially the personal finance 101 course that I wish I had had as a college student that I created essentially for students just like me. And we've grown that from just a small group of 800 users in fall of 2018 to projected about 9,000, 10,000 users that we'll have towards the end of this year and over $100,000 in annual revenue. We will continue to grow that at schools across the campus or schools across the country. And in doing so, we will be able to start like slowly sort of converting those users over to users of the investing app. But additionally, you know, and this is just part of the puzzle, we will be hitting kind of the finfluencer marketing pipeline hard, affinity groups, as well as leveraging earned media at, you know, places that I have established relationships at major media outlets. But this is an important kind of, you know, goodwill side of our business, I think, is that, hey, we're helping you kind of establish a general financial foundation with lots of personal finance topics, including investing. And then we're going to be there with this new app when you're ready to start to take that leap into investing and putting your money to work. So these are two products, serve two different age groups, but we see them as very, very tightly connected.
And what type of data have you, or research have you performed to just prove out the need for this?
So we've done some surveys. We've also done some customer discovery sessions. We've spoken to, you know, through surveys and customer discovery, spoken to hundreds of retail investors to confirm a couple of things. One is that they have multiple accounts that they have to basically bounce from app to app to view currently, and they would want one place to aggregate all of those things. The other is to understand exactly what they're using different types of investment accounts for. So are they using their brokerage account for different goals than they are their IRA, or a Coinbase account, some type of crypto wallet, for example, or do they see those things as more fungible? And so we've gotten a lot of great feedback and data on those fronts. And then we've also done roughly, I think it's up to 65-ish really kind of detailed customer discovery sessions where we've walked people through our prototype, done some usability testing as well. And the overwhelming response is generally, wow, I kind of started investing, I dipped my toes into it, but it's never really made sense until now. This is what I need to invest to actually achieve the goals that I'm investing for and to feel confident in putting this money to work rather than just feeling like I'm flying blind and just doing whatever everybody else, you know, says they're doing on Reddit.
Great. That addresses my questions. Thank you, Tara.
Thank you, Kristin. Appreciate it.
So good. I think all the questions are done, right? Zandra, Kristin, you guys are good. Wonderful. Thank you, Tara, so much for being here with us today. So that concludes the Women's Fast Pitch for San Diego. Thank you so much to all the founders. You guys did all so good. Want to make sure that the audience knows too that you're on YouTube right now. Watch some of the previous Women's Fast Pitch on YouTube so that you can even get to know all the fabulous founders that we've had in our 6th region around the United States pitch competition. And subscribe because you never know what's our next event going to be like, and especially for Women's Venture Summit. So now we have a little bit of a transitionary time. We're going to have the judges deliberate, and I just want to remind the judges that you have to turn your screen on before you move over to the the breakout room. So also that's a great like little tip for anybody who's on Zoom. If you need to go over to a breakout room, you have to always keep on your video. So I want to remind the judges so that they have a great deliberation session. So we'll see you in a little bit. Now it's time to vote for audience choice. All the audience out there, please, please, please show some love to the founders that you absolutely loved today. There is a voting link in the chat down there, and making sure that you click on that and you do put in your vote for your favorite founder today. If they did a great job, or my gosh, that super resonated with me, I'm their target customer, they did fantastic, great business opportunity. So please, please, please put in your vote. Or you can, click the link, or you can go visit slido.com, SLIDO.com, and enter code 54672. I know I wouldn't remember it either, but go down in the chat, you'll have the code there. So again, 54672. So now, while the judges are deliberating, we have a very special talk with Karen Duchesne of Cooley, and I think that she's ready to go. Yes, Karen, wonderful. So I'll leave you to you. Karen is a fantastic speaker. Cooley is always a wonderful sponsor for Women's Fast Pitch, and I can't wait to watch it when I come back from the judges' deliberation and learn so much from you, Karen. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you in a little bit.
Thanks, Sylvia. And I'm going to try to share my screen. Hopefully. Hold on, sorry. Yep. All right, hi everybody. I've got, what great presentations, by the way. I really am so energized by founders, and a special shout out to Taylor and Nostalgia Coffee, which is a client of mine. So great pitch, Taylor. While the judges are deliberating, I'm going to talk about some financing trends and some Series A financing terms, sort of a crash course in financing. But if the one thing that you take from my talk today is this is the most important thing. Cooley operates a website called Cooley Go. It's cooleygo.com. It's an award-winning website, and it is a resource for you, founders, entrepreneurs, startup companies. It is a source of information. We've got white papers on there, blogs about topics of interest to startup companies. You can generate your own Cooley blessed legal documents for things that a new company needs, including like employment offer letter templates, information assignment agreements, term sheets, bridge note documents, anything like that. So cooleygo.com. If there's one thing that you write down from what I'm going to talk about in these quick 10 minutes, that's the thing. I'm going to talk a little bit about some deal trends. So on cooleygo.com, we publish quarterly venture financing report, and it's an interactive reporting tool that is available. We make available to the world on Cooley Go. And I'm going to start with some of the trends that we saw through the second quarter. Cooley handled almost 399 disclosable deals in the second quarter of 2021, representing more than $22 billion of invested capital. Both of these, both the number of deals and the amount of invested capital, are record levels since we started doing this report in 2004. Deal volumes slowed monthly during the quarter, however, and so it's too soon to tell whether that's a trend. But you'll notice of the second quarter, which was record breaking, April was the biggest month of the quarter. Median pre-money valuations remained historically high in the second quarter also. The data points to valuation increases in later stage deals, most notably in Series B and Series C deals. The percentage of deals with a median pre-money valuation greater than $100 million increased to 48% of the transactions during the quarter. This is also a new record. In a key indicator of investor optimism, the percentage of up rounds reached 97% for the second quarter, another record that we've never seen. Now I'm going to dive a little bit into some equity financing terms. Series A financing, Series C financing even, are like a landmine of terminology. So the first thing we're going to talk about is valuation and what is meant by valuation. And then we're going to talk about a few other key issues. And then I'm going to remind you at the end to go to cooleygo.com to get your questions answered, get some good documents, etc. All right, let's talk about pre-money valuation and post-money valuation. By the way, these are frequently abbreviated as pre-money. The pre-money means the pre-money valuation, or the post-money, when people say, what's your post-money? That's a post-money valuation. The pre-money valuation in a financing is used to determine the per share purchase price that the investors are going to pay for the equity in your company. So that's the only reason to have a discussion about pre-money valuation. It's the per share price for the financing is calculated by taking whatever it is the pre-money valuation that you've agreed to with your investors and divide it by the shares outstanding. When you do that, you get to the share price, and that's the key investment term for the investors. Then they can figure out how much they're going to invest, what percentage they're going to own, etc. Now, the pre-money valuation may be sort of fictional. In fact, it's not usually based on like the value of your assets or anything like that. It's really a way to back into the per share price. The denominator of the fraction that is shown on this slide is key. So most typically the shares outstanding that's used in the denominator is the fully diluted. So it's all the shares that are outstanding. It's also the shares that you have reserved for the issuance of things like outstanding options, warrants, maybe if you issued warrants. It could even include the conversion of safes that you might have outstanding or convertible notes that you might have outstanding. And it almost always includes the share reserve for your future options that you're going to grant. And it's the share reserve after the investment most often. And that's how you get to the per share price. The pre-money valuation is what drives that. Now, what do people mean when they talk about the post-money? Well, the post-money is very simply the number of shares outstanding after the financing multiplied by the per share price that the investors paid. However, the post-money doesn't usually equal pre-money plus investment amount. And that is because of the number of shares outstanding. Again, it's a fully diluted number. And so it includes things that maybe haven't been paid for yet, such as warrants that you issued in the financing, additional option pool, that sort of thing. If you're going to do a Series A financing, you're going to have a discussion about your board of directors. You already will have a board of directors before you do the financing. It's probably you, maybe you and some co-founders, maybe you, some co-founders and an outside advisor. But if you take money from an institutional investor, particularly a venture fund, you're going to have investor representation on your board, almost guaranteed. And that impacts the size of the board. You're going to have to enter into a voting agreement where the shareholders agree to vote for that board as agreed with the investors. You're going to have to really consider how much founder representation is on the board, if your CEO is on the board, how many investors are on the board, that sort of thing. So be ready if you're going to take venture fund investment that your board is going to change. I can almost guarantee it. So venture funds invest in what's called preferred stock. The key term about preferred stock is that it has a liquidation preference. A liquidation preference is downside protection for the investors. It says that if the company is liquidated, and by the way, liquidation includes not just a true liquidation, like the company didn't work out, we're winding down. In fact, very rarely that's what happens. It more likely includes the sale of your company. And a liquidation preference says that the preferred stock get paid first in a liquidation scenario. Again, this is downside protection. This is when there's not enough money for everybody to get their money back. Well, in that case, the preferred stock will have negotiated for themselves a preference where they get their money back first. The liquidation preferences come in a few varieties. A non-participating liquidation preference means that the preferred stock will either have to choose to take their preference, which is most often 1 times their money that they put in, which we'll see on the next slide, or they get treated like common stock, but they can't have it both ways. fully participating means they get their money back first, and then they share in the proceeds of the liquidation along with you and all the other common stockholders. Sometimes the participation is capped. Sometimes the liquidation preference is more than 1 times, although as you can see from this slide, it's almost never more than 1 times, at least over the last handful of years. A conversation that you're also likely going to have to talk about is your option pool, which is the amount of shares that you're going to set aside to incentivize employees after the financing, and what happens to your stock. So the option pool is an important conversation, because remember what I said about how to calculate the pre-money and the per share price and the post-money. The option pool number goes into that outstanding share number, and so it's going to affect the share price that the investors pay. However, it's also important to you that you have a sufficient option pool so that you can incentivize employees, particularly if this is your first big financing and this is going to get you the money to make some hires that you've been waiting for and get some talent that your company really needs. Well, those people are likely going to expect to get equity. So you have both an incentive to keep the option pool small because it's going to make the share price lower, but you also have an incentive to make the option pool sufficient. You may also be asked to have a conversation with the investors about investing in your stock. Many companies, and I think in particular, the ones that pitched today, investors in your company are going to be very much investing in you, the founders, and so they need you to stick around. And so if your stock is not vested, they may ask you to vest it. In other words, if you leave sooner than 2 or 4 years, some of that stock's going to come back to the company. So be ready to have that conversation as well. Some other typical investor rights that investors negotiate for in preferred stock financings. In fact, they're universal. They're gonna expect to have information rights, which means that they have the right to receive probably monthly, quarterly, and annual financial information. And they're very likely, if you're taking on substantial investment, they're very likely going to expect you to have your annual financial statements audited by an outside audit firm. And that comes with expense. As a small private company, it's not that expensive, but it's also, management time, et cetera. They're also going to get preemptive rights, which is a right for them to invest in future financings in order to keep themselves from being diluted. It's most typically a right to invest their pro rata. So if going into the next financing, an investor owns 10% of your company, they're going to have a right to invest 10% of that next financing if they want to. And then something called protective provisions. That's a little bit of a misnomer. Protective provisions is language used to describe shareholder rights, where after a Series A financing, when you take on venture investment, there are going to be a number of things that you can't do without the preferred stock's approval. And remember, the preferred stock is what the investors own, and only the investors own it. So you're going to have to get their approval for a number of things, and this number of things could be 10 to 20 things. It's going to be things like selling your company. It's going to be things like setting up subsidiaries. It could be taking on debt. It would definitely be paying dividends, issuing senior securities, things like that. So you will through a venture financing, hopefully you raise real, like, company changing money, and hopefully you get really great advisors, but you're going to give away some control of your company, both by way of the board rights that I talked about earlier, and then by way of these quote unquote protected provisions, which are really shareholder blocking rights. And that's it for me. I'm pretty easy to find. I love talking to founders and women founders in particular. Thank you for letting me talk to you today. Cooligo.com, don't forget. And good luck to everybody. Thank you.
Hi. Oh, Karen popped off. I was going to ask her to describe a venture summit. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Raven O'Neill, and I'm the executive director of Stella Labs, one of the entities that helps put on this event. I am joined by our very own director of investor relations for Stella Angels, Lauren Rowley. Welcome.
Hey everyone, excited to be here.
So thank you for joining us. We every week get to talk about special purpose vehicles, SPVs, which I believe Shan was kind enough to put in the chat. And I know that Karen can talk to it too. So just real quick, tell us what a special purpose vehicle is.
Well, thank you so much for asking, Raven. We are super excited because we're setting up special purpose vehicles for all of the founders who are actively raising funds. This is just a really simple vehicle for us to be able to take our investors and get them all aligned with a founder's company, especially if they don't meet that minimum that they have for investments on their cap table. So with the SPVs through Stella Angels, we partner with Loon Creek Capital, and our units are $5,000 each with $500 in fees, regardless of how many units you purchase. And it allows you to get into that deal when an investor, when a founder may have anywhere from 25,000, 50,000, I've even seen 100K as a minimum investment amount for an individual.
Awesome. Thank you for that explanation. So I know that there's two sides of the table there. There is the SPV opportunity for the investors. So investors that might not have heard of an SPV or haven't dove into getting involved. And there's also the founder side of the SPV. What is the benefit for our founders tuning in to choose to do an SPV?
Absolutely. Well, what's wonderful about the SPVs is that it allows for a founder to have just one entity on their cap table with as many investors in that deal as possible. So when we feature a company through Stella Angels, we often have all of our investors come in on the SPV, and that really simplifies the process for the founder in terms of communications. And then also as they raise future rounds in the future, it just keeps the number of investors on their cap table low.
Because having a lot of investors on your cap table can be a deterrent for future investors, correct?
It can be a complication, yes.
Awesome. So for our SPV opportunities with Stella Angels, how many of our founders are in an open round? Off the top of your head.
For the San Diego Fast Pitch today, we have Nostalgia Coffee Roasters, Preemadonna, and then there's one more, and let me just pull this up real quick. We had a last minute change, and I'm trying to see on the screen.
And we're back, Lauren, if you want us to save you.
Do you want to save me? I'm trying to, do you remember who the last company is that we're featuring for the SPV?
With San Diego.
Preemadonna, Nostalgia, and there's one more, and I'm not
ReisUP
sure.
or BrilliantBiome, I imagine.
BrilliantBiome, that's it, yes. Perfect.
And then Lips is also doing a WeFunder, right? So almost all of our founders today are raising, and there are ways to get involved with their raise.
Yeah, Lips and Nostalgia are doing WeFunder.
Perfect. All right, I'll let you guys take it over. Thank you for giving us
wonderful. Thank you, Lauren and Raven. There always are an intermediary that does this, the lengthening out of the judges' deliberations. So I know that's a super hard thing to do. And I appreciate both of you for doing that. So as we're bringing in all the founders back, we're super excited. I wanted to let everybody know that San Diego was our most competitive region. We got the most amount of applications in San Diego. So these ladies did an amazing job and actually even making it this far. So I wanted to congratulate all of you, even making it this far. You all did a fantastic job in all of your pitches, really clear definitions of value propositions and market sizes, and all of your traction was very exciting. So I want to make sure everybody is in the room. Wonderful. Yes, we have everybody. So what I'll do right now is say the winner of the Women's Fast Pitch Audience Choice first. Then I'll do the winner of the Women's Fast Pitch San Diego. And then the judges have picked the companies that they want to give a little bit of feedback. We do it very professionally, very positively, but I think it's really important as an education to let you know how we feel about it, about your pitches. So really excited to do that. So without further ado, we have the audience choice for the Women's Fast Pitch San Diego region is BrilliantBiome. Congratulations, Sierra. Audience choice. Wonderful job.
Honored, ladies.
Wonderful job. And then the winner of the Women's Fast Pitch San Diego region is Preemadonna. Congratulations, Pree. Wonderful job.
Thank you so much. Congratulations to everyone for pitching. Everyone did such an amazing job.
I know. Yeah, I've already gotten texts and everything going, oh my gosh, they're so amazing, all of them. So very exciting, very exciting. So I'm going to send it over to Cheryl first. She's going to give some feedback on, well, actually, let me back it up. Let me have Carrie go first and talk about nostalgia and lips. So Carrie, do you mind to go first?
Sure. And I'll start with nostalgia. I mean, I think all of us agreed. I mean, you've just done impressive, back in testing, you really know your audience. I mean, not to be pun intended, but it's the aroma is palpable, and the excitement and your enthusiasm for it, Taylor, is yes. Great. You clearly know your beans, your scores. All we can say is keep winning the competitions, make sure everyone in the market knows. I mean, I expect to be hearing San Diego shouting about it, right? And this is the best alternative. If you can't, if you're having virtual coffee, we expect to be having nostalgia. And so, yeah, we'll be looking for you in REI and everywhere else in between. So
awesome.
Great work.
Thank you, Kay.
Of course. And then lips. You're fabulous. We really were dazzled by your team. I mean, that is a strong leadership. I mean, the backing, and you handled all the questions incredibly well. And clearly know the ins and outs of your technology to that degree. Is a lot of the terms are probably over my head. We thought that, the market timing is smart on this. And, you're right to be preemptive with some of the security measures and the features you're building in, and love the idea of the early traction you've had, as well as, the organic growth, limited marketing. So we definitely see this as a, potential to see this as an add-on to the existing social networks, as well as your other strategies. It's a smart play, and just, yeah, great. I mean, everyone needs a voice, and the fact that you're providing a better way to moderate and to be part of it is fabulous.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And it was a great experience. So thanks, everybody.
Wonderful. Thanks, Annie. Thanks, Carrie. Next up is Zandra with ReisUP.
Yes. Great present. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great presentation from Tara. Definitely a need in the market for something like this. It sounds like it's the next generation. Great presentation. You evidently know who your customer is. You did some great research. Thank you for all of those research points. They're very, very important for a tool like this, because the differentiator you're going to be bringing to the market is going to be first to market player for sure, and then acquiring those users. That's going to make it a much more compelling, just a compelling deal for not only investors, but possible acquisition targets. So this is definitely something that's needed. And, I would love to learn more about what the company you're going to be leading with. You said that has about $100,000 in revenue right now. So if we could learn a little bit more of what that is, because that's going to obviously defer costs when it comes to customer acquisition. If you can step into that position of power already, that's important to know when you go out to raise that seed round. And, the differentiators, of course, first to market, that user data is going to be important. And just for really anybody, like what they're buying, the Peloton, the house, the shoes, or whatever that's going to be. And I also love the fact that you're going to be partnering with these home loan people that do home loans, Peloton, these bigger companies to kind of maybe give them incentive, give them discounts because they're saving towards that goal. So that right there could be another revenue opportunity, a rev share. So great model. First to market differentiator is going to be your best foot forward, and then utilizing the current base that you have from the other business.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sandra. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And then Cheryl, do you want to close us out with feedback on BrilliantBiome and Primadonna?
Yes, somehow I got assigned the winners, but all of you ladies did an amazing job. I see a lot of pitches, and all of them were really strong. You were all poised, confident, prepared, which I don't always see. So I know you're all going to do well. In terms of BrilliantBiome, obviously there's a reason, you got audience choice. The problem that you're solving is a really big problem. And I think people, really respond to that. And, you've got a viable solution. And, what's interesting to me is that there may be applications, for what you're creating beyond opioids, so that could be really interesting. I would just make sure, you've got, on your team, some really strong marketing and sales folks, some really strong manufacturing and supply chain, because oftentimes, that's where, the rubber meets the road, or the monkey throws the wrench into the gears, I found. But you're going to do great. Congratulations. And then congratulations, Pree. I am obsessed, as you know, as many sitcoms have told you, the quickest way to a Black woman's heart is to compliment her on her nails. So I am looking forward to buying this product in Target for all my play cousins for Christmas. I think that the main comment folks had was, for printers, like paper printers, they're really cheap. And the reason they're so cheap is because they make their money on the ink cartridges. And so, I think that, in, showcasing that potential revenue stream, beyond, the base device, but also, the frequency, the amount, all the revenue that will come in from the ink and the polishes, is just going to make your revenue strategy sound even more delicious to investors. But, I'm looking forward to seeing you on the NASDAQ 100 very soon.
Thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate all the feedback, and I can't wait to get you your nail pot.
Yeah, girl.
I got one waiting for you right here. All right.
Soon to be seen on Instagram.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Well, thank you so much, everybody. It was just fantastic. I mean, I don't know how we chose, but that's why we have great judges that are investors themselves. So really excited to close out. We want to call all accredited investors. We've set up special purpose vehicles. You've already listened to Lauren and Raven talk about that. We also have some great, two of our founders today are on WeFunder, Nostalgia and Lips. So it is a way to just easily invest in them. Click on the form link below in the chat to learn more. We do have a post-event Zoom, just in case you want to get to know Lauren Rowley of Stella Angels and myself about the special purpose vehicles and a little bit more about the founders. So just stay on. Of course, this is our last women's fast pitch. I'm about to get super emotional because this is super exciting. 6 regions, so many women we've been able to touch in the last month, during the whole month of August. Thank you to the team. But again, we need to promote the Women's Venture Summit. It is one of my favorite events of the year. It is what I look forward to every year, to get all of these investors, all of these founders together to build bridges between them. Exactly what we did today. It's an experience. It's not just an event. It's an experience to really dive into, learn from, grow from, interact with, engage. It's super exciting. And today there's a special on tickets. Today only, there's 20% off registration. So this is huge. We don't have a lot of deals and during the time that we have the Women's Venture Summit, but today, because you're here, please take advantage of the 20% off. There's a promo code called WFP2WVS, meaning Women's Fast Pitch 2, number 2, Women's Venture Summit, WVS. So hop on it. It's valid on virtual and in-person 2-day summit passes. So just for everybody to know, we do have in-person tickets for San Diego. It's going to be really, really fun. It's at a co-working space and for women, for mothers, help me please, my mind is working. And it's going to be a really great group of women who show up to watch the Women's Venture Summit virtually. So connect with so many other founders, so many other investors. It's going to be super exciting. So click on the Get Tickets banner below. Use the promo code again, WFP2 Women's Venture Summit, WVS. And find out who wins the Women's Fast Pitch Finals on day 2. So you're going to see Pree again in a couple of weeks. So we have over 50 plus speakers. We have 20 plus interactive breakout sessions. We have 2 tracks for founders and investors. We have group networking and one-on-one networking on the app. So that's nowhere else you can find that. where you have that really specific investor who is a gender lens investor right there on the same app as you for the founders out there. And investors, you're always growing your ecosystem. You're always connecting with other female founders that can syndicate with you, that can share deals. So come to the Women's Venture Summit. Seats are limited in the San Diego in-person event. So please, please, please get your tickets today. And in closing, I want to thank the founders so much. You guys did an amazing, amazing job today. Thank you to the judges. They are our sponsors, our friends, our colleagues, our partners in all of this to rise. We rise by lifting others, and you have seen it today. So, and thank you to the sponsors again. Cooley, who's here, thank you so much for all of your dedication to all of this. Thank you to the Impact Seat, and thank you to Next Wave Impact Foundation. So join us in 2 weeks. 2 little small weeks at the Women's Venture Summit, September 17 and 18. Thank you and have a wonderful, wonderful evening.